3, 2, 1. Hey friends, Janky here, and welcome to another episode of Hanging with Janky. Yay. Wow, that trailed off real quick. Contrary to what the media would have you believe, I am not dead. I am getting better. I am not as sick as I was, but I was at a very low point this week. And to quote my friends, sounded like death. So, that was fun. I watched a lot of Netflix though. I got a lot of Netflix watched. I watched some movies. I watched a lot of anime. As if you've been following me on Twitter, you'll know over the past couple days I've been posting about all the anime I watched. I watched a ton, and some of it is actually relative but for today, but we'll get to that. So normally I would start off with channel talk, but there is no new stuff on the channel this week. Also, I am once again not going to make promises about what's going up next week, because even though I'm feeling better, I'm not going to lock myself down by making a whole bunch of promises and then disappointing you by not following through. So, we're skipping channel talk to this week. Yay! As for sub thanks, I can say with a warm heart that we do have 2 new subs this week, even though no videos got up, which is awesome. We are now up to 277 subscribers on the channel. Unfortunately, YouTube won't tell me who they are. And I haven't gotten emails to tell me who they are, and they haven't sent me direct messages on Twitter or anything. So I don't know. I don't know who they are, but thank you to new subscribers. I love you, and thank you to all 277 of you. You are awesome and amazing, and thank you for sticking with me, even though I didn't put up any videos this past week, and I've been incredibly sick. I appreciate that all of you didn't just come and unsub from my channel. That was really nice of you. So thank you all, Jank Squad. You are all amazing, and I love you. So, faster than ever before on Hanging with Janky, I think, let's move into gaming news, starting with quickfire news. So let's start off quickfire news by talking about the Undertale speedrun underway. This is by streamer Cookiepocalypse, who is determined to get all the endings to Undertale. Now, for those of you who have played the game, you may know that there are 3 general endings to the game. There's the neutral, there is the true pacifist ending, and there's the genocide run. Now, within these 3, there are actually 90 possible endings, because depending on your actions throughout the game, it will change up the dialogue. And Cookiepocalypse has undertaken it to complete all 90 possible endings of the game in the shortest amount of time possible. He has not slept. He has been going for over 24 hours now, I think, at this point. It's crazy, but kudos to him for doing it. Speaking of beloved games that are filled with mystery, Pokemon Mysteries. Pokemon has released a new video on its Japanese YouTube channel that has shown a collection of all of the strange things that have occurred in every Pokemon game. Weird mysteries, weird rituals, distortion world, all of these things, the UFOs in that Pokemon photo game for the N64, all of these weird things that have never had any satisfying explanation in the realm of Pokemon that people have been theorizing on for God knows how long. They have created a video that is just full of clips of these different things, and they're like, is it an alien invasion? Is it a rift in time and space? Who knows? So, Pokemon apparently has something cooking, but they're not telling us what yet. But it looks cool, whatever it is. Continuing to speak on Pokemon, Pixelmon, the incredibly popular Pokemon mod for Minecraft, is being shut down because the Pokemon Company finally got around to doing something about Pixelmon. So, if you were a real big fan of Pixelmon, I'm sorry, but you won't be playing it anymore, because that is getting shut down. Speaking of things that you can play on VR, because you can play Minecraft on VR, haha, transitions, there is a rumor going around that Oculus is working on a new VR system. Now, I could not find a press release from Oculus about this. It's just something that people are talking about. They say that they've heard Oculus talking about it, I don't know. But apparently Oculus, which is one of the big VR companies producing those big, awesome systems, you know, the Rift and the HTC Vive, which are the big competitors in actual, like, full-room VR right now. Anyway, apparently Oculus is looking to make a new self-contained VR system. So, as opposed to doing something like Samsung, which has created VR systems where you can just put in your phone and your phone becomes the VR, or doing a full-scale setup like with the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive that you have to hook up to a computer that will cost you thousands of dollars and all that nonsense, they are actually wanting to make a system that is contained within the VR headset itself, much like the Nerve gear from SAO. That's a terrible comparison. I would never want to put a Nerve gear on my head for fear of being trapped in the game. But it might be something that Oculus is working on, so fun. Speaking of things that you experience from first-person perspective, PUBG, which is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, is releasing first-person exclusive servers. So, these are servers in the game where you can only play in first person. There is no third person view whatsoever. That would be cheating. I don't even know if you could do it in a server that's set exclusively to first person. You probably can. But that adds a new level of difficulty to an already difficult game. So if you're a PUBG fan, definitely be checking that out. Speaking of things that get streamed all the time, Nintendo Switch is featuring a streaming app, which is probably a first for Nintendo. I don't think that they ever had like an official streaming app on any of their systems. Now, granted, the streaming app that is on there now is one that is really only popular in Japan. It's called Nico Nico. It is apparently wildly popular in Japan. You can actually leave comments in real time on the video as it's being streamed, and you can also upload videos to it, and then you can add comments as it rolls, and like the uploader can also add comments. It sounds like a really cool system, and you can now stream to it from the Nintendo Switch. Will this eventually lead to Nintendo Switch being available for Twitch and YouTube? I don't know, but it seems like a pretty good sign of things possibly going that way. Speaking of much beloved games and gaming systems, Half-Life got its first update in 4 years. That's right, Valve remembered it created that game and did an update on it. Now, it's not a huge update, it's just some bug fixes and things, but it's really cool to see that, you know, even though it's decades old at this point, people are at Valve are just like, yeah, we should make sure that that's all on the level and nice. So, kudos to them for doing an update to Half-Life, which is a beloved game. And speaking of updates and fixes, there was a gamer who absolutely loves League of Legends, which is still a wildly popular game for a lot of people to play. There is one hero in League of Legends. I did not write down their name, which is silly. I should have done that, but I'm already so far into Quickfire News, I don't want to stop and look it up. But he wrote out a list of 180 bugs in this hero that need to be fixed. And he categorized them into 17 categories and tiered them based on levels of importance. Whereas like something that's a huge problem they should fix right now to something that would just make the gameplay smoother. Kudos to this guy for making this list of updates. Hopefully Riot will listen and fix these problems that are apparently with this character. I just mention it because I love the dedication that this guy showed to actually write out this bug list. That's a whole new level that's just great. And because I don't have a transition into this one, I'm just going to tell you, Mass Effect Andromeda now has a 10-hour trial available to everyone. So, a lot of people have kind of had mixed feelings about the new Mass Effect. Some people are just like, it's not great, and then other people are like, oh, it's okay. But generally, it's just been mixed reviews. So, they have finally decided, decide for yourself if you like it or not. They have released 10 hours of gameplay for Mass Effect Andromeda that anyone can play for free right now if you feel like it, just to check out the game, see if it's something that interests you. And if it is, buy the game, I guess. Sweet, awesome. Maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't. I probably won't. I don't know. Who knows if I'll get around to it or not. But I think it's really cool that they've opened up the game like that. And that is all I have for Quickfire News. Alright, slowing things down now. Let's talk about Evo 2017, which is happening this weekend. So for those of you unfamiliar with the Evolution Championship Series, it is a big fighting game tournament that is held every year in Vegas. It features a lot of different games, some really cool ones actually. Smash Brothers, The King of Fighters, and most popularly, Street Fighter V. You can check out the streams all this weekend over on Twitch. There's actually a big long list. You can look at Evo, Evo 2, Evo 3, Evo Prime, I think is another one. Basically, streaming all of the fighting games that are happening. I think a few of them are already done. I think King of Fighters is already done by the time this is coming out, and Smash Brothers might already be over. But the main event, which is the Street Fighter V tournament, will be happening this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Don't quote me on that. It might be whatever Nevada's time zone is. Pacific? I don't know. But if you're interested in fighting games, or you just want to check out a totally awesome event, go check out Evo, because it's super cool. So this one hits near and dear to my heart, because this is what I've been doing all week. Let's talk about Castlevania on Netflix, which got released this week. This week? Well, whatever. Okay, I guess technically it dropped last week, but whatever. We're going to talk about it now. So, Castlevania, hugely popular gaming franchise, spawned any number of games in that series. They decided to turn it into a Netflix series, which it's in like an anime style. It's kind of gory, but in a good way. It's very dark. It's good, and I totally recommend checking it out. But let me get a little more into it here. So the Netflix series is actually based on the third Castlevania game, Dracula's Curse, which actually follows the exploits of the ancestor of the original protagonist of the game, Trevor Belmont, as he faces off against Dracula with his magician girlfriend. That's a terrible... Okay, she's a speaker, and she is a scholar of magic. I should get that right, because people will probably be mad at me. Sifa, which I could be pronouncing totally wrong. And Dracula's half-vampire son, Alucard, as they face off against the Count himself. It was pretty good. It was only 4 episodes long. Each episode was about half an hour, so it's basically like a drawn-out movie, an episodic movie, if you will, of Castlevania. And they've already announced that they're going to make a season 2 that's going to feature 8 episodes, which is great, because my biggest problem with the series is that it's like they never finish their story. I mean, the thing is, it's just all, like, it's like the first season is for people who didn't play Castlevania 3, which is fine, because I didn't, so I could use the expositionary setup, but where it ended, it just felt like, okay, well, I feel like there's more that should have happened, but that's fine. I mean, I get it. They're just setting it up, and then I think season 2 is going to be really good, but there's one very satisfying moment in season 1. You'll know it when you get there. But you're just like, you deserved that. You deserved that. Anyway, highly recommended. Go check out Castlevania on Netflix. If you haven't, absolutely do it. And our final topic for today is something that affects not only gamers, but everyone who uses the internet, net neutrality. So I'm sure you've seen a lot about net neutrality on Twitter over the past couple of days, because a lot of people have been talking about it because of what's going on right now. For those of you who are not aware of what's going on, because I wasn't and I had to look it up, basically what's going on is that there's a bill in Congress right now called the Internet Freedom Act, which is basically trying to gut the FCC's current regulations on net neutrality. They had put rules in place back in 2015, I think it was. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But basically, they put rules in place to preserve net neutrality, essentially. And now those are trying to get overturned. So what is net neutrality exactly? Well, according to Google, net neutrality is the principle that internet service providers should enable access to all content and applications, regardless of the source and without favoring or blocking particular products or websites. So basically, websites shouldn't pay some sort of penalty just to get access to customers. Customers shouldn't have to pay more to access the websites that they want to access, like YouTube, and they shouldn't be threatened with, say, slowing down or throttling access to that website just because they don't want to pay extra for it. Basically, how this all started was because Comcast, who is an ISP, they're a broadband provider, they had throttled down access to BitTorrent, which is admittedly sometimes kind of a pirate site, but it's also a file sharing site, and they had slowed down access to it to people trying to get onto it. So people complained, and then the FCC was like, hey, you can't do that, because they had rules in place, and Comcast sued, and they got those rules overturned. So the FCC was like, okay, fine, we'll create stronger rules. And they invoked something called Title II, which is part of a old act from 1934. It was the Communications Act of 1934, which basically under Title II allows the FCC to regulate communications, which was originally meant for telephone and radio, but I think later it extended to television, and now it extends to the internet through the net neutrality rules. So basically what broadband providers are arguing is that net neutrality right now, as it stands, does not allow for like good service, which is silly. But here's the best example, because I watched this interview with Mark Cuban, who owns one of these companies, and he was saying that, you know, cable, it all comes down the same pipe, and bits are bits, and data is data. And so the data going to the television is the same that's going to the internet. And so before long, your evening news is going to buffer, because the television won't be able to handle it, because everyone will be on the internet. Which is paraphrasing, but essentially what he said, which is the dumbest fucking thing I have ever heard. Pardon the French, but that is stupid. Like, my mind was blown. I was like, you are arguing that the TV will start buffering because of net neutrality. What? Anyway, the point of all this is that a lot of people are arguing, no, the FCC rules are fine. They let us use the internet as we please. We don't, as the consumer, don't see anything wrong with the way the internet is now. So why are you arguing to change it? Because we're doing fine. They had actually organized a protest, the day of action, yesterday, where everyone was just like, keep the FCC rules in place. And then there were some broadband providers who were also like, oh yes, we are also in support of this protest, but they worded like, okay. The worst was, I believe it was Spectrum, who sent emails to their customers saying, here, send this email to the FCC and local officials or whatever. And it was this email that was worded to sound like it was in support of net neutrality, but it was really like, net neutrality will only be achieved if we deregulate the internet, or something like that. Which is the problem, because if you deregulate the internet, that means that there aren't regulations on the broadband providers, which means that they can do the things that, honestly, we expect them to do if they were just free to do it. Like, they could do paid access to websites if they felt like it, because who would be stopping them if they weren't regulated? And of course they would, because it's a way for them to make money. Anyway, it's been a big thing, and I just thought that I would talk about it a bit, because if you're like me, you were confused as to why exactly this was resurfacing, because I've heard talks about net neutrality in the past, but I was just like, why is this suddenly like a big thing again? So I did some research, and I thought I'd share it with you guys, because I think that this is something that affects all of us, because we all use the internet, and we are creators on the internet, so this is something that affects us and hits close to home, and I feel that everyone should remain informed. And of course, I highly encourage you to go out there and do Google searches and learn more about the issue, because that's the way that you stay informed and you know which side you want to back and how you want to proceed forward in the future. So definitely go check out more about net neutrality and how it's affecting us right now. And that's all I have for gaming news for this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed yet another episode of Hanging with Janky. I am feeling better, so hopefully I will get out a few more videos this week. There is one that I've been meaning to get out about Anti-Hero, which is a sweet new digital board game coming out that I just haven't. It came out last week, and I really wanted to get it out like on time for the game release, but I just couldn't. So hopefully there will be some stuff to look forward to next week. Again, no promises, but hopefully. More than that, I hope you guys liked this video. So if you did, feel free to leave that like down below. Comments, positive or negative, feel free to leave those below as well. More than anything, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whenever you happen to be watching. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, this is Janky Shenanigans, signing out.